This week on EMOM Aesthetics, my top 5 exercises for building big, strong legs, plus one workout and one free resource for you to download in the description right now to get you strong, lean, and athletic without spending 60 to 90 minutes in the gym. Let's go. In today's EMOM Aesthetics, we're going to be talking about the top 5 exercises, one superset, one workout, and one brand new free resource in the description called the EMOM Aesthetics Method, where you can get strong, lean, and athletic without spending 60 to 90 minutes in the gym. But in order to do that, we're going to have to train our legs. Remember the days when people would ask you, do you do legs when you work out? I remember looking at them like they were crazy because everybody did legs, right? You didn't just want to have a big upper body and these tiny little twig legs. Well, now we all know we need to be training legs. And the number one exercise that we need to be doing in order to build big legs is the back squat. We all kind of know a little bit about the back squat. We're going to break down some of the technique, foot position, what our hips should be doing, how we think about growing muscle. And as we take this bar to the rack, one of the very first things we think about is getting in here. Bar's going to be sitting across our traps. Now there's a couple varieties that we can think about. I personally choose a high bar back squat, so the bar is going to be on top of my traps. This allows me to keep a more upright torso. If you like the low bar and you want to roll the bar down below your traps so it's sitting a little bit more on your shoulder blades, that's fine, but what that's going to do is create a little bit more of a forward chest lean, a little less upright torso. To me, I want to have the bar stacked on my spine with my torso as upright as possible, so I'm sitting down, getting as deep of a stretch in my quads as possible, keeping my glutes engaged throughout the entire movement, and adding a nice little 3-second tempo on the way down. The tempo allows us to control the movement, creating more mobility and stability throughout. The hips push back, the glutes are engaged. Bend the knees, sitting down as deep as possible, stretching the quads at the bottom, squeezing our butt to stand up all the way out. It's nice 1, 2, 3, and all the way up. 1, 2, 3, and all the way up. Now there's 3 key principles to building muscle, to hypertrophy. The very first one is muscular stress. So in today's workout, we want to increase the weight. We're doing sets. We're going to be doing 5 sets of 3. So it's going to be EMOM 10. In the very first minute, you're going to be doing 3 reps. 275 is a pretty good weight for me. That's what I chose to use in the workout. How you go about this should be somewhere in the 70 to 80% range, depending upon how comfortable you are working while you are at a higher intensity level. So with that, we're going to be going triples on the back squat, making sure our core stays nice and tight. We're breathing into our belly, upright torso, keeping that spine in line, hips push back, squeezing our butt, big stretch in the quads at the bottom, and then driving up, squeezing our glutes to finish. The very next exercise that we're going to do is lunges. My favorite lunge is the reverse lunge. Now we see lunges come across in multiple different ways, right? We can see people step forward and all the way down and up. There's nothing wrong with what's going on right there. Personally, what I like to do the best once we're standing this up is reaching back. To me, this is a much better knee angle. The shin stays more upright. I'm getting more weight back into my glutes and a better stretch in my quad. Now, the difference is when you're doing these standing in place, and this is why I like doing the reverse lunge versus the forward lunge. Most people don't have room in their gyms, especially me in my garage, and we don't have room to walk. So that forward lunge and then returning backwards often turns into a step forward and then a push back. Now with the reverse lunge, you are able to control that movement more, where you're stepping back and then most of the weight is going to be on that front foot and you're able to stand up. You don't have that big push back. Now for me, in this workout, because I like to add a little bit of funkiness to it, instead of using this barbell at 135 pounds, I grabbed a 100-pound sandbag just to mix things up. The barbell is great. If you want to use kettlebells and get them in the front rack, awesome. If you want to use dumbbells, hold them to the side, hold them on your shoulders, fantastic. This is more about the movement pattern of the reverse lunge versus what implement is the best. Lunges are my favorite exercise because we get to move in planes that we're not typically moving in. Mainly the idea of just actual locomotion and that you're moving backwards and there's movement in your body versus just standing static, sitting down, or in a deadlift, you're just static and pulling up. The fact that we get to move a little bit, it makes everything a little bit more functional. It requires more core stability. There's just a higher demand on your body when you do a reverse lunge, and we love to have that little isolation effect. You're never going to totally eliminate your back leg doing some of the work, so it's not a complete unilateral movement. However, you get a lot of the unilateral benefits, even though it's not like 100% as if you were doing like a shrimp squat where your back leg doesn't touch the ground at all. So for me in this workout, I used a sandbag. I'm gonna demo a couple. The video is happening right now of me in my workout, but it's here, and we're going to step back and down. If you have a sandbag and want to try the reverse lunge with the sandbag, one thing that I love about the sandbags is your ability to grab a hold of your hands and pull that bag in as tight as you can to your body. There's a ton of core stability that you get out of it. Plus, front loading is going to put a big demand on the erectors in your back. If they didn't, you would just hunch over. So you're going to be getting a big, strong set of erectors in your back just to hold it up, as well as the core stability to be able to control your movement patterns around that. And we're gonna come back right now in the second EMOM. We've got a 10-minute EMOM to start, where we're gonna be going back squats at 275. We're gonna be going reverse lunges at 100. And in the second EMOM, we're gonna go 10 minutes. In the first minute, one of my all-time favorite movements that I have never ever in the history of the world done without being insanely sore the next day and knowing that I got a killer workout, the rear foot elevated split squat. So we're back here, we're on the bar. I've got 135 here, and we're gonna go 6 reps on each leg in the first minute of the second 10-minute EMOM. So we start this thing out in the exact same way. I do not want anybody using a low bar setup when you get into this rear-footed elevated split squat. The reason is because I just don't want to see your torso go forward at all in order to keep the weight over your midline. So when we take this thing out, it sits on top of our traps. What we're going to do is take about 2 steps out so you can be on the bench. It's 1, 2. We're gonna reach a foot back. Now this is where we start to see a little bit of the kinesthetic awareness, how your body moves in space. So from here, I want whatever leg is back to drop back and down towards the bench, tapping the ground and coming straight up. The foot that is forward, you should have a relatively vertical shin. We don't want to see it coming so far forward. We're going for a big stretch in that quad, nice and deep, and then pushing as much as we can out of that front foot. We're gonna be going 6 on each side there. We're gonna go 6 here, and trust me, just doing a set of 6, that's gonna be 30 on each side. Your heart rate's gonna be up, the intensity's gonna be up, you're gonna feel very sore tomorrow, and we're gonna finish this thing off spiking that intensity a little bit, dropping an awesome superset in here with some sandbag squats, and then we're going to get into some jumping, more explosive movements with a kettlebell and some jumping goblet squats to finish it off. So we're back here, the sandbags out. I use the 150 in my actual workout, but that thing's monstrous, especially for demoing this fun workout and these kind of big exercise movements that I really enjoy doing to grow big, strong legs. Leg day is my favorite day of all time. I never get tired of doing leg day. I do leg day every week. I've been doing leg day for 23 years now, and it's still my favorite. I wake up the next day, everything hurts a little bit. You feel good, you feel alive, you feel like you worked out. It's so fantastic. Now, what we want to think about, because I use the sandbag, and once again, if you don't have a sandbag, use a barbell, use a dumbbell, use the kettlebells, right? If you want to do a goblet squat, fantastic. I just really enjoy these sandbags because the amount of core stability, and when you pull it into your body, every muscle in your body is activated in a way that you just don't get to use the barbell. The barbell rests on our back so easily. You don't have to hold the barbell in place, but you have to hold this sandbag in place, and that just has an added benefit for your core, your back, everything as far as like functional movement gets turned on. So we're gonna pick this thing up, and we're going to go 8 sandbag squats immediately into 4 jumps. So we're going to pick this bag up, hold it at chest level here, nice and tight. 8. I did 4. Typically we're going to do 8 in this workout, and as soon as we finish that, we're picking the kettlebell up, we're coming all the way down, jumping as high as we can, and then landing nice and soft. Now, we talk about this athleticism all the time. Part of the athleticism is mixing up the implement that you're using, right? So sandbags, kettlebells, barbells, there's tons of implements that we can use to get strong. But we also want to think about how our body moves with these implements. And jumping, although seems easy, it's something that we can all do, jumping's really, really hard. And the way that we want to think about getting all the way down, exploding up out of the ground. So we're in a full squat, we're exploding up with power. And then the way that we land, I think, is something that quite often gets messed up. And when we're doing 4 of these, I want them to be repetitive. I don't want you to reset. And that's where a lot of the athleticism comes in, and how you land, and your hips coming back, your knees being able to track over your toes, going into that second rep, and finishing with speed and power. EMOM Aesthetics, in the description right now, there's a free resource called the EMOM Aesthetics Method. 7 days of free workouts. Come get lean, come get strong, come get athletic. Do it in 60 to 90 minutes or less, because we're busy people and we don't have that much time to work out. We got things to do, and we'll see you guys next week.